Hello friends, for today's video I wanted to do an end of the quarter book haul. This will be in combination with an end of the quarter DNFs and unhaul, so if you're interested in that, I will either have it linked depending on if that one's gone up first, or you can be on the lookout because it'll be up very soon. But jumping into the book haul portion, many of you know almost exclusively I get my books from my indie bookstores because they're amazing and I love to support them as much as possible. However, this is a rare occurrence where nothing I'm talking about I actually got from my used bookstores, but as always, I still wanted to shout them out. Changing Hands and Bookman's, they're both absolutely incredible. If you're ever in Arizona, especially the Phoenix area, definitely give them a try. You will not regret it because both of those places are fantastic, and I'll have them both linked. So this first one, I actually rarely do this, but I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on this book. I really hope I like it. It's an anticipated release, and that would be Breath of the Dragon by Shannon Lee and Fonda Lee. I was somebody who, on paper, felt like I was the perfect candidate to fall in love with Jade City by Fonda Lee, and I did not. I still feel like there were so many components to it that were great. I just didn't really care about the characters, unfortunately, but I still absolutely understand why so many people love that series, or I should say I understand why so many people love the first book, because I haven't continued on with the series. And I do think that there's a lot about it that is fantastically done. It just didn't end up working for me. However, I really liked Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee, and I like Fonda Lee's writing, so when I saw Breath of the Dragon, I figured, okay, I feel like there's a pretty good chance that this one's going to work for me. I'm very curious to see, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe this one is young adult, so I was curious to see how Fonda Lee does with young adult, because I've not picked up something from this author that is YA, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I almost always try to get new releases from my library, but there were two reasons that I wanted to get this one instead of waiting to get it from the library. Oh, Luna Bear was snoring. I don't know if you just heard her. Anyway, Luna Bear's my dog, if you're new. I talk about her a lot. But anyway, so as I was saying, I usually wait to get new releases from the library, but I already kind of explained the first reason. I really was looking forward to reading something else by Fonda Lee. The second is that I really want to read this, and because of the author, I just knew that it would probably be a really long wait time before I was able to get my hands on it, and I didn't really want to have to wait. I really want to get around to this one sooner rather than later, so that is the reason that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna give this one a try. Next up, we have a Broken Binding edition, and that would be for The Mask of Mirrors. I really enjoyed this first book in this trilogy. The entire trilogy is out at this point. I really enjoyed the first book. I picked up the second one. I didn't love it as much as the first one, but I actually think that a fair amount of it's not that I had necessarily criticism, so when I say my issues with it, I'm not talking about anything that is necessarily the book's fault. I felt like a lot of my issues, though, with it were rooted in the fact that this is a relatively complex series, and a lot of the perspectives and what's going on within this setting, there's a lot of intricacies that I felt like the gap of time between the first book and the second book, their releases, I felt that I wasn't able to get as much from the second book that I should have gotten if I had just decided to reread the first book than the second. And then when the third one came out, I thought, well, I could read it, but I don't know, I'm just not feeling like I'm that invested in the series at the moment. But as stated, I really feel like I need to reread the first book, then read the second, then read the third. So really what I'm saying is this is one of those series that I just feel like you don't want to have to wait between installments, and that was my experience when I picked up the second book, and I want to remedy that. And when the Broken Binding was doing an edition of it, I was like, oh, well, first off, I think it deserves it, because it's relatively underhyped even still, and I think it deserves a lot more love. I think a lot of people would really like it, and also perfect opportunity for me to finally go back and reread this. I'm hoping that what happens will be similar to what happened with the Daevabad trilogy, which is that I also, with that series, read the first book, picked up the second. I actually didn't even finish the second one the first time around. I DNF'd it because there's a time skip, and I had all sorts of dumb, like, oh no, but like, what about that time between? I wanted to know what happened. I was just being stupid. But I recognized that I probably would need to reread that first book at some point and then read the entire trilogy once all three books were out. I did that, and then it is now officially one of my favorite trilogies of all time. So I'm really hopeful that that same experience will end up being true for this series, but I feel like the thing that most people care more about is what this looks like, because the broken binding is incredible and they always do amazing work. So this is what the front cover looks like. This is the back here. And then, oh my gosh, the naked hardback is incredible. It's so cool. I love this naked hardback. I think it's awesome. Here's the artwork on the sleeves, as well as when you open it, there's artwork on the inside, as well as a bookmark. I'll move that so it's not in the way of the artwork there. And then if you look at the back, there's artwork there as well. As I stated, Broken Binding always does an incredible job. I can't wait to see the second book and the third book, and then at some point read through the entire trilogy. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, maybe I'll do a buddy read. That could be fun. We'll see. Next up, we have the third book in its given series. That book would be Faithbreaker. This is specifically the illumicrate editions. I think illumicrate, first off, I think that they have really continued to improve, and as the years have progressed, I feel like they take in feedback, and when they do expand, I feel like they're very thoughtful about what they're doing. And in general, I just feel like they're doing a lot of work to make their editions as beautiful as they could possibly be. And I certainly think that's true of this series. First off, this cover art already is absolutely gorgeous, so I'm actually kind of glad they didn't do exclusive cover art, but they did for the inside, or I shouldn't say the inside, but if you take off the sleeve, each of the books has incredible artwork on the naked hardback. So I really like the artwork here. And then I like that the pages match the front cover, and then signed, and this is what the inside looks like. The back looks like that as well. I was saying, though, that they didn't really change the artwork. They did change the colors, and I like the decision that they made with the colors here. However, I have the first couple books there. I have the regular editions because I think the artwork's beautiful, and then I have these editions without the sleeves just because I really like the way that looks. But man, this kind of green teal color looks pretty too, so I'm like, do I have it on my shelf without the sleeve? I don't know, because I mean, that still looks cool too, but I really like this color. Anyway, I think both the Broken Binding and illumicrate have done amazing jobs. Next up, we have a book that is by Kingfisher, and that would be Sword Heart. I love Kingfisher. I was so excited because for quite a while this author has been a hybrid author. Okay, I don't know what happened. Luna Bear's shedding, and I picked up this book, and somehow a bunch of her fur just started flying around. I don't know if you saw it. Anyway, so I have loved Kingfisher's works for quite a while at this point. And I was so excited because she's been a hybrid author for a while, which means that she is partially self-pub and partially traditionally published. But a lot of her self-pub books are starting to get picked up, which I think, of course, there's validity in both career paths, and there's also validity in being a hybrid author. However, typically you find that authors, their works are going to be read and seen by more readers if they are sold in brick and mortar stores and if they're on the shelves when you walk in. And for that reason, I'm very excited because I think this author's fantastic. It's been really exciting to see their career really take off over the last few years. I feel like I found, and I should say thanks to all of you, because it was actually through your recommendations that I picked up T. Kingfisher, but I feel like I got into T. Kingfisher's works right before this big boom in their career. But regardless, it's exciting, and I happened to see this copy of one of their works at the store, and I was like, I want to support them. So I got this copy. There are some sprayed edges, and it's not necessarily the most spectacular looking of books necessarily. It's not like they have all the bells and whistles like the other ones I showed, but it does look really quite beautiful for just being a regular edition and not a special edition. But I'm excited for this author and for this book. Really looking forward to reading this one. Next up is a book by an author who I recently picked up, also similar to what I was saying about T. Kingfisher, where I actually discovered them because of a recommendation from one of you. This author, I read a book of theirs recently because of something that one of you mentioned, and that book was fantastic. That book would be The Stationery Shop, which I don't actually have a copy of yet, but I definitely plan to. But they also have the book The Lion Women of Tehran, and this isn't sponsored, but I do from time to time work with Book of the Month. However, I also happen to have my own Book of the Month subscription because I quite like their book box, and so I do have a subscription. Occasionally I have extra credits, and you can use your extra credits to get add-ons. And so I looked and I was like, do they have this book by this author? And they did have The Lion Women of Tehran, and I was like, yes. So I used one of the credits that I had to get this copy. I can't wait because I thought The Stationery Shop was fantastic. absolutely beautiful. And when I'm in the mood next to pick up something outside of fantasy, I will definitely be picking that up because I really, really, really loved the way they constructed the first book, the decisions they made with who they decided to zero in on and when, and how it all came together. Plus, I thought the story was incredibly moving. It was great, so I can't wait to read this other book by this author. And then last for today, we have some books that were very, very kindly sent to me by the publisher, and that would be the new editions of The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. I didn't realize that there were multiple authors who originally were self-published who got picked up, but that is the case for this series, and these are the first two because I think most of you know at this point, it's kind of like a series of duologies that are somewhat connected. So this is what the first two look like in that series, and then you have the next two here. And they're also going to have the next duology match these editions. And so I think that's going to look really nice on the shelf to have this cohesive design all the way across the board, but with a slight color variation. I think that'll look really, really fantastic. I enjoy these books when it comes to fantasy romance. As a lot of fantasy fans are, I think a lot of us can be especially picky and fussy because we just have certain things that we're looking for as fantasy fans versus as romance readers who maybe come to fantasy romance, or just in general other genres. If you're used to those and you come to fantasy romance, you might be looking for different things. And this series for me, I've just always enjoyed the political intrigue aspects of it, and I've had a lot of fun. So a huge thank you to the publisher for sending me these, and I am looking forward to when I get the chance to read the next two books to see, because I've had a feeling that the character that we're going to be following from the beginning, I was like, I feel like that person's going to get their own story, and that is who is going to get their own story moving forward. So I am really excited for when those eventually come out. But that is it for a book haul for this first quarter of the year. I technically, of course, I want to be very transparent. I did get other books that I'm not necessarily showing here because I did do a book haul for my patrons a little bit ago, and I didn't want to give the impression that these were the only books I got. Not that anybody cares, but because I'm calling this an end of the quarter book haul, I just felt like it was somehow dishonest to not say I also got some other books. The reason though that I saved that particular video for Patreon is that the books that I got there are all pretty much books that I'm going to be picking up for my A Fantasy Fan Reads Steampunk video that I'm working on, and I don't want to give too much away just yet, I suppose is what I'll say, but like patrons kind of have more of a sneak peek, and I am really looking forward. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for when I get to finally have all of the books that I've read for that discussed, because I think that's going to be so fun. But anyway, that's it for the books discussed here. As I said before, thank you to the publisher for sending me these copies, and in general, I'm so excited for a lot of these books. Thanks so much for watching though. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.